They did something. The Seattle Mariners did something. It's not the greatest move. It's not the sexiest move, but they did something. The Seattle Mariners signed Donovan Solano to a 1-year, $3.5 million contract. And to make room on the 40-man roster, they designate Austin Kitchen for assignment. Real quick on Kitchen, not a big loss at all, other than the fact that I had a lot of puns ready to go. I was really excited to make some Kitchen puns. I was going to throw the whole kitchen sink at Austin Kitchen puns. I can't help myself. So let's take a look at Donovan Solano. First of all, Donovan Solano is a really cool story. This is a guy who was in the Cardinal system for a while, could never break through, kept going, and he is a great example of perseverance because he's now carved out an 11-year career. This will be his 12th season. He's become a pretty darn useful player. In 11 seasons, he's hit 279, 335, 381. That's a 716 OPS. It's only an OPS plus of 97, slightly below average. A little misleading, though, because 2013, 2014, 2015 went really bad. In particular, 2015 went really bad. In 55 games, he hit 189, 215, 244. That'll take that'll hurt the old OPS pretty good. When you have a 459 OPS, that'll hurt you. But since 2016, really 2019, because what happens is he labors again for another couple of years, but then he finally gets a chance in 2019 with the Giants, and he runs with it. That year, he hit 330, 356, 456, 360, excuse me, 456, 330, 360, 456. That's an 815 OPS. Then the next year, he posted 828 OPS, 2021, 748, and he's been around that 760 range over the last couple of years. In fact, he's been at exactly that. In 2024, he hits 286, 343, 417 over 96 games and 309 plate appearances, 8 homers, 35 RBI, if you're into that sort of thing, 22 walks, and 65 strikeouts. Donovan Solano is a really useful player. And I have already seen a backlash against this signing online. It's what I get for being online, I suppose. I really like this move. I really like this move because of what Donovan Solano can bring the Seattle Mariners. I will say this. I'm hoping he's being brought in to be one thing instead of the other possible thing. Because if you're bringing him in to be the other possible thing, it's not that this move stinks. It's that the move that you should be making isn't going to be made, and that stinks. Probably will make a little bit more sense when we get deeper into this video. Let's take a look at Solano's Savant page. 2024 is a little weird because he doesn't qualify. He only played 56 games, signed as a minor league free agent, finally gets the chance, and then obviously performed well. But there's some pretty good numbers here. I wanted to give you the 2023 version, though, because it tells you a pretty accurate story of what he does well and what he does not do well. Expected batting average was in the 89th percentile at 284. And one of the main reasons for that is he made a lot of hard contact. He averaged 90.2 miles per hour. I don't know what that noise was before I said that. 90.2 miles per hour average exit velocity and a hard hit percentage of 43.7. That's really good. And one of the things he does really well is that he doesn't square up the baseball at like a massive clip, because you'll take a look and we'll talk about the power or lack thereof in a second. But he finds that sweet spot. He finds that label. And it helps him dink the baseball and dunk the baseball and occasionally put it into the gaps on a pretty nice little basis. His sweet spot percentage was 43.1%. That's beyond elite. 99th percentile of all hitters. That's an awesome rate. Doesn't have a ton of swing and miss. Struck out in 22.2% of his plate appearances. Last year, that number was 21%. Walk rate of 23.5 last year, which, isn't the best. It was 8.9 the year before that. That's what you're kind of hoping for, is that 7.5 to 9 is really going to play fine, I think. But it would be better if it was closer, obviously. Good at math. Very good at math. So that's what Donovan Solano does well. He makes contact. He swings at pitches outside of the zone, but he does a good job of making contact with those. Those pitches that are outside of the zone, on the outside part of the plate. He can lash that baseball in between the first and second base hole. If you make a mistake, he's capable of pulling it through. What he's not capable of really doing is hitting for a ton of power. Barrel percentage was 6.1 in 2023. It was all the way down to 3.7 in 2024. That's really bad. That's really bad. And the concern here is that he's 37. And as a 37-year-old, as your bat speed drops, it's usually not what you see. I don't know why I was going to say technically there. What you usually don't see is a big gain in that regard. Barring a massive swing change, you typically don't see that. It's going to say technically again. You typically don't see it. Not saying it's impossible, but I would bet that power is not going to be a huge part of his game. That just doesn't seem very likely. Now, he did his slug 417, which is not a bad number at all, because he can put the ball into the gaps. It's not really a case of him using his speed. Sprint speed was in the 10th percentile. And we'll talk about athleticism and why that matters with Solano as well. Matters with every player, but in particular, why I don't want to see a certain role for him. But Donovan Solano can hit. And what he's done throughout his career, throughout his career. Can you tell it's been a while since I've recorded one of these? Hit left-handed pitching. Now, last year, he was pretty good against right-handers as well. If we take a look at the splits for 2024, 277, 325, 401, that's a 726 OPS against right-handed pitching. That'll play. It's far from great. It's not necessarily what you want to see from a starting corner infielder, but it'll play, especially for a bench bat. But against lefties last year, 302, 373, 443. And he's really handled left-handed pitching pretty well throughout his career. He has a 729 OPS against lefties for his career, which is, again, not great. But he's always hit for a high average against him. He gets on at a decent clip. There's just not a ton of pop. If you're expecting him to be a middle-of-the-order guy, that's not going to happen. That's just not his skill set. If you can take that batting average, look, on base percentage is more important, sure. But batting average has a place. The ability to move guys first to third, the ability to, make the defense work, so to speak, matters. We saw the Seattle Mariners struggle with contact a lot last year, and it affected the team, and then some. Now, we don't want a bunch of weak contact, of course. We don't want guys hitting into double plays, and with Solano's lack of speed, that is certainly a possibility. But I think his skill set plays really well against left-handed pitching. Let's talk about Donovan Solano defensively, because this is where my question mark comes. And the Mariners were not scooped on this signing. As far as I know, I was sent a DM from someone in the industry that said the Mariners signed Solano. And the first thing I found was the Mariners announcing the move. So they made the move, and they've already had some quotes about his versatility and his productiveness and all that stuff. But they didn't, as far as I know, really lay out a plan for what they expect Solano to be. So last year, he played first base, second base, third base, and designated hitter. Same thing in 2023, same thing in 2022. In 2021, he played a little bit of shortstop. Same for 2020 and same for 2019. He's played some outfield. He played left field in his rookie season with the Marlins. But for the most part, he's been a second baseman with some third. I will say this right now. Donovan Solano cannot play second base at the major league level anymore. He only played one game there last year. One game entirely at second base. And I don't think it was a full game. I'm pretty sure it was just a little dip. I'm just looking it up right now. I could have hit it edit, but all I see is one game. He spent 26 games at first base, and he's played 32 games at third base. If Donovan Solano is coming in to be the platoon partner with Luke Raley, I really like this move. I like it a lot. Now, it probably means that Justin Turner isn't coming back, and that's a little bit of a bummer. But I think Donovan Solano is a more useful player on the field than Justin Turner is. Now, what Justin Turner provides for the clubhouse, which is something that I value, and I think the Mariners did as well, different story. And maybe Justin Turner, finds a better deal or doesn't want to play or whatever. I hope well, I guess I don't, because my concern is if Donovan Solano's being brought in to be your third baseman, even in just a platoon role, I don't like it. I don't like it because I think if you have a Donovan Solano, JP Crawford side of that infield, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. JP Crawford doesn't have the range to cover for it. They just don't. I wish I was wrong. I wish I was wrong. I wish I was wrong, but that guy can't be a guy who plays third base more than a dozen times, something along those lines. He should be a first baseman. He might actually profile better at designated hitter. He's just not a great defensive player anymore. I'm not sure he ever was a great defensive player, but sorry, nose itch. If he's being brought in to be that role, I really don't like this. You've got to upgrade at third base, and the answer is not Donovan Solano. The answer is probably a trade at this point. I don't know who. I really don't know who, but it ain't Donovan Solano. But if Donovan Solano's being brought in to play third base every once in a while and mostly play at first base with the platoon with Luke Raley, you still get him 80 to 90 games. You get him 250 to 300 plate appearances. And you hope that he puts up the same numbers that he did last year. If he does, then you did great. You did excellent. And I think Luke Raley and Donovan Solano combined to be an above average first baseman. I think that your hitter that you paired with him at third base would have to be a heck of a lot better than above average, or a heck of a lot better to get to that above average rate. I just don't see it. So I don't think there's any reason to complain about this move. I don't think there's any reason to go gaga over it. But it leans more towards gaga than complaint. Towards, like, if this is even and this is gaga, it's like here. It's not super exciting, but it's something. And it made the team better. And I'm excited for that because there's been a lot of talk about maybe the Mariners just standing pat. And I'm going to talk about this more on the radio Wednesday. No. No. No, you got to do more. You got to do more for a lot of reasons. You got to do more for this pitching staff deserves better. You got to do more for the players they have, the non-pitchers, they're people too. You got to do more for this fan base. And you got to do more because no moves is basically you talking about you want a prospect horde and you want John Stanton to keep his money. And I'm not about that, even as a joke. So I'm just really glad to see a move and a positive one. You don't have to be super excited about it. You don't have to even be kind of excited about it. You can hate this, I guess. There's just not a lot for me to hate. Donovan Solano is a really productive player. And also, from what I've heard from others, a good vibes guy. Now, is he the vibes guy? No. But he's a really well-respected dude. And I think he and Luke Raley, if that's the plan, and I'm hoping that's the plan, combined to make first base closer to a positive than a negative, much closer to a positive. In fact, I'm just going to say it's a positive because I believe in Luke Raley if he's just facing right-handed pitching. Let me know what you think. Please hit like. Please subscribe. We're going to start resuming much more Mariner content. It's just been nuts lately. I haven't been able to do my Mile Y enthusiast chats. I'm really sorry about that. Haven't been able to give you more Mile Y enthusiast content. I promise you a ton is coming. We're going to review our player reviews. We're going to resume our player reviews. I owe you more, and I really appreciate the support. I hope everyone had a great Christmas, a great holiday. Thanks for everyone who was watching the Seahawk videos. Hopefully I can start doing Kraken and Husky stuff again soon. But yeah, back to the old bread and butter. And Donovan Solano, it's far from perfect, but I like it.